Hey guys, today I'm going to show you tips and techniques on how to catch bass. This is what I've learned over the years growing up on the lake, doing a lot of fishing. This is what I've learned that works. I mean, everybody has their own techniques, but these definitely work for me. So, on the rod right now, I have a frog. So I guess we'll start out with how to fish a frog in this lake. There's a lot of lily pads, a lot of weeds, especially on the other side. So when frog fishing, you want to go for the most cover you can find. A lot of cover is never too much cover. The bass get in there, they hang out, they wait for small fish to come along over them or something to come along over them. They shoot up out of the weeds, snatch it. So when you're working the frog, what I'll do is cast it out as far as I can into the weeds or the lily pads, and I'll give it a steady retrieval, but as I'm bringing it in, I'll bounce the rod tip a little bit, so it kind of gives the frog a swimming motion, but every so often a jerking motion to kind of change up the way the frog's swimming on the surface, so it looks like it may be injured or it attracts more attention than just, you know, reeling it in. I've seen people just reel them steady in, catch bass, but I like to add as much action as I can to make it more appetizing for the bass hanging out under it. So, frog fishing, not the best in this lake, but I've watched videos where guys swear by frogs, that's all they use, and they just knock out some nice sized bass. So that's something I use during the summer, never in the spring because the lily pads and the weeds haven't grown. In the spring I'll use a lot of rubber lizards, rubber worms. The way I work those is I never put a weight on it unless I absolutely have to. I'll cast it out. I usually work the shoreline or a down tree, some kind of structure. You never want to fish them in the wide open. You work some kind of structure so that when the bass are hanging out waiting to get the small sunfish, the small perch, the small fish that are coming up onto the bank or hanging out inside that tree, the bass will come after it. So you work that structure, you're going to attract any bass that's been watching for small fish. I definitely have had my best luck with worms and lizards on this lake. I caught the 5-pound bass this spring on a lizard, and it was actually in a tree that had fallen a couple years ago. That's my main bait of choice. I'll do sometimes of the bass jig that I showed in my last video. I'll work that on rocks. I have a crayfish that I sometimes work on rocks, put some bass on it. But for the most part, you want to stick with worms and lizards for the summer months and fish them on ledges if possible, because the bass hang out at the bottom of a ledge. This is for most predatory fish. They hang out at the bottom, and as the little fish come over that ledge, the bass hanging out at the bottom can shoot straight up and knock them out. So if you work your bait from top to bottom or just straight across that ledge, you're going to attract any bass that's hanging out low waiting for something to go over it. So if you know the structure or you can see the structure, definitely work it. I've known some people that have used sunnies, live sunnies as bait, hook them, bobber, flick it out to the middle of the lake, sit there. You'll catch fish, but you're definitely going to have a better chance shifting spots, changing location, finding new structure, working different kind of baits, and you can work different spots which have different amounts of fish, different sizes of fish, instead of hoping a big bass comes along and takes your sunny. So, you know, my idea is just structure, change spots if you're not catching fish, don't waste any time. What else do I use? That's pretty much it for baits. I don't do too much ice fishing. I do some, and I've never been successful with it on my lake, but I always see people out there, and it looks like they do pretty alright with perch and stuff. What I showed in my last video, little fish bodies that are incredibly small, you put them on a weighted head and you work those, troll them in the spring, early spring, right after winter. You get so many fish. Me and Ryan together caught like 18 fish, some being perch, some being pickerel, a few crappies. So those little fish definitely do the trick. I mean, that's pretty much it for baits. Techniques, like I said, structure. You can work the lily pads with a frog. You can just live line a sunny, toss it out there. I mean, that's pretty much it as far as it goes for my lake. I would definitely just say, keep in mind, you want to change spots if you're not catching fish. Work the structure that you know, or structure that you can see on your fish finder, structure that you've seen before, maybe the lake rose, but you know there's a down tree. Work as much structure as you possibly can for the best results to catch the biggest and most fish. Docks, as the most common spot to fish for bass, are right under docks. So you come up to the dock, you flip it right under the dock, work it out. Again, the bass hang out there in the summer for two reasons: the shade, they like to keep cool, they're not going to hang out in hot water, and for the small fish that are coming in, hanging out for safety around that dock. So definitely work the docks if you can. I mean, all I do is I fish structure. If I know the structure, if I see the structure, I'm going to be on it. I'll fish it. If I go 10 minutes with no fish, I'm going to shift spots, run down the river, run down the lake, and find some more structure. So that was just a brief video on tips and techniques that I do. The one thing that I mentioned in my second video, I watched a video and some guy talked about how you want to use darker baits at night and in the evening because the bass can see it better. You know, I didn't know how true that was, but I listened to the guy. So if you watch the video, I told Ryan to toss on from the neon yellow lizard to a purple. First cast, boom, bass. Second cast, bass. It was back-to-back fish, and he was fishing in the same spot. We didn't change spots, casting in the same area, and it seems that they can see dark baits better. Looked it up, and it turns out the dark baits contrast better with the moonlight and the light from the stars. So when the bass is hanging out and looking up, all the light he's getting is from the night sky. So he can see that black shadow moving over him a lot easier than he could see a yellow or a lime green. So all the articles I looked up, it said dark blues and purples and blacks, and you'll knock them out at night. So go out, try that. I mean, I was trying it. As you saw in the video, it worked. I mean, that's pretty much it. Another thing I want to talk about if I have time, I'll talk about it real quick. Second chance hits, you saw that again in the second video with Ryan. If you're reeling in a bass, he gets off, or if you feel a hit and you can reel up to the boat, you got nothing, cast in the same spot if you can. If you know where you cast, put it right back there. These bass, they'll hit, they'll grab on, and when they spit it, they won't move very far. You cast right in that same spot, boom, you're gonna catch them. Ryan, I proved it in my video, second video, guys go look it up. Ryan missed the fish, he's like, oh man, I was like, alright, Ryan has a fish. You see the rod go up, he's like, I don't have it anymore. He let his lizard sink back down, boom, sets the hook, swings the bass into the boat, bass hops off the hook. So just goes to show that they hit and they let go real quick, but if you cast it right back, you put it right back in their mouth, you're gonna catch them. So that's pretty much it for tips and techniques. Comment if you guys have any other techniques, or if you want to hear me talk about anything else related to tips and techniques. And that's pretty much it. So until next time, tight lines.